I want to go ahead and issue out a trigger warning in this video because some of the subject matter that we're going to be talking about it's a little triggering, especially if you grew up in an abusive household. So we're not going to go too in-depth into details, but it is a part of the pieces that we work on, and it's a part of who we are as a person and our artwork. So just a little trigger warning ahead for that. Nothing too serious, just letting you know. What's happening, Captain? What's new, kangaroos? It's your dandy, Candy, and welcome to another episode of What the Fuck Was I Thinking, where we go over some of the art pieces that we've made throughout the years and kind of explain what's the meaning behind these pieces. Now, we got 6 paintings that we're going to be covering today, but I also wanted to take a moment to explain who I am as an artist once we're done talking about those, because I feel that's kind of important as well. So with that out of the way, let us commence. Now, our first piece that we're going to be talking about today is a self-portrait, and it's not so much a realistic self-portrait so much as it's a self-portrait trying to explain a bit of who I am, the background of where I came from and where I am today. In this piece, you'll notice that the portrait itself is split, and that's to express the splitness that I have in my everyday life, where I do these videos, I make this artwork, and I identify as this persona that I have here, the clown persona, to express my inner person, as well as my outward appearance that I provide on a day-to-day basis. Half of my face is done up in clown paint with this beautiful little rose pill hat that we made, and we're going to be wearing that again pretty soon in one of our upcoming videos. While the other end of me has me without my face paint on, wearing my glasses, my beautiful little Celtic curls just flowing off in the distance, my actual natural hair, with a hat that has a coin slot in the center of it, because money is always something that's on my mind, because I'm kind of lacking in it. Off in the background, you'll notice that there is a flaming pyramid up in the top end and a sunset over a desert in the bottom end. That's to represent the 2 most significant areas that I've lived in throughout most of my life. The first one at the top being Memphis, which is where I'm originally from, Memphis, Tennessee. The reason that the pyramid's on fire in it is because when I was born, there was a fireman strike. And one of the things that the firemen did when they were on strike was set a bunch of shit on fire. So I was literally born in a city that was on fire. The pyramid itself didn't come out until well after I was born. It came out in the 90s. But it's a very symbolic part of Memphis nowadays, proper. Back then, the pyramid was more or less like an arena, a coliseum, a stadium. You went to see the Tigers play there. You went to see performers, musicians, wrestling acts, monster truck rallies. I think even at one point you had hockey games in there too, which is kind of sad to see that nowadays it's just basically a Bass Pro Shop. At least it's not a Spirit Halloween, yeah? It's just kind of sad, and it's kind of a reminder that no matter how much you want to, you really just can't go back home. Because the home that you grew up in changes over time. Like I said, I remember going there and seeing Anthony Penny Hardaway, that's how he's properly named, and Jaleel White playing pickup games. I remember seeing Celine Dion and Mariah Carey performing there. I remember when the pyramid used to be that coliseum, that stadium that people went to. So it's just kind of jarring that it's just a commercial property now for like selling Bass Pro shit. Then again, there's a lot of stuff that's changed since I've been back to M-Town. It's been over 20 years. Apparently Cat's Music, which is a place I grew up around a lot as a teenager, is gone too. So that's kind of depressing. And Liberty Land, which was the local little fairground, is apparently a park or something nowadays. I don't know what to tell you. But that's that part of it. It's to represent Memphis, M-Town, where I'm originally from, the 901. The bottom end of that, you'll notice again, Desert Sunset. That's to represent Arizona, which is where I've spent a good portion of my life for the past 20-something years, on and off. I've never really gotten along too well out here in the state. It's very hot, so I don't really go out much. It's a very conservative state, which is very difficult for me to make friends and associates with. I mostly just work and then stay home most of the time because I just really don't feel comfortable going out too often or any of that nature. It's just way too hot, way too hostile. But it is very much a part of my life, and it's molded who I am today, both of these places. So they're very significant in that regard. On to our next piece. Now, our next piece is going to be one of the pieces that we wanted to issue that trigger warning for, because this one does deal with child abuse. This piece, I can't remember exactly what I titled it, but it is directly related to a very vivid memory I have as a child. Um, it- it's going to be a little difficult talking about this because the person that did this to me changed a lot over the years and grew into being a better person. So I don't want to tarnish that memory of who they are to other people who didn't know that part of them when they knew that person. We're talking about my dad, and my dad was a very conservative type man. He was a very southern redneck, blue collar working Reaganite Republican. He listened to Rush Limbaugh every day. Was very conservative, and I've always been this. Even when I was little, I've always had a hard time identifying with my body. There was things I always wanted to do, shows I always wanted to watch, things I wanted to dress as when I was a kid, and my dad was not a fan of it. And I've been told that when I left, which was against my choice, but when I left, that he kept a picture of me in his desk all the time that he would look at in his office, and I was told that he really did miss me and really did love me, and I it's difficult to process that because the first decade of my life was just nothing but fear of this man. He was very angry all the time, and there's 101 excuses as to why. But I think a big part of why he had such a hard time with me as a kid was because I was his son, his only son. He my mom had another son before with someone else, and he had a daughter with my mom, and I was his first son. And I didn't act like a son. And I think he didn't like that. I think that he was really hard on me because he wanted to, I guess, beat the sissy out of me. Try to instill that manliness that a lot of conservative folks like to stand by, that apathetic, tough guy, man of action, be of service type mentality. And he really took it out on me a lot. I spent a good portion of my life when I was a kid being grounded for no fucking reason or for ridiculous amounts of time. And when I wasn't being grounded for ridiculous amounts of time, I was constantly getting my ass beat. There's 100 different things I could have made this painting about. I really could. But this piece in particular is about a memory that I have that's still vivid to me to this day. And in it, the best way to describe this piece, if you'll notice in the center of it, there's a hand with numbers on the back of it in red. And there's candy on a conveyor belt bar behind it. What this is about is because, well, when I was in elementary school, I was learning mathematics. And I was having a difficult time with it because I've always had kind of a difficult time with learning stuff directly. I've always been kind of on the spectrum before anybody even knew what the spectrum was, hence all the rainbows on there. And my dad, this was right around Halloween time, like right after Halloween time, we just did trick or treating. Thought it would be fun to make a game out of it. And for every piece that I got, or for every answer I got right, I got a piece of candy in a pile that I could enjoy later. And every time I got one wrong, he'd take one away. Well, we spent hours working on that math, and I ended up with no candy in my pile. But he had to figure out some way of punishing me for not getting the answers right. So he decided the best way to do that was to whack the back of my hands with a metal dog brush. And I found it very, you have to excuse me for a second. Because again, it's hard for me to talk about this because I know he changed as a person. And there are people that knew him as a loving father, as a loving grandfather, but it's hard for me to look past these memories. But I remember we didn't actually ever get good at the math at that point. And this went on for a couple times. I just remember going to bed crying with blood spots all over the back of my hands. And even to this day, when I look at the back of my hands, I still see those spots. So that's what this piece is about. It's about child abuse. It's about pain from somebody that should love you unconditionally. And it always felt like love with my dad was conditional. Like there was a requirement that I had to be in order for him to show any love or respect or support, and that I could never do anything right in his eyes. I think he loved me as a concept. I think he loved me as a concept of what he thought I could be, but he felt that he failed because I didn't turn out to be the version of me that he wanted me to be. So it was more or less the concept of me, I think, that he loved. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but again, he did change as a person. My stepmother really helped him to grow as a person, and my stepbrother and stepsister got to see the better side of him, and my niece apparently also got to see the better side of him. But even with him changing as a person, it was so hard to ever look past the way that he was for like the first decade of my life. There's so many memories I could have went with for this. I mean, he literally paddled my butt until it was purple and I couldn't even sit down. I spent a lot of time as a kid talking to the school counselors, and I didn't even realize why until I was an adult, the reason that they wanted to talk to me. But that's a very strong memory I have of my old man, my dad. And I'm reminded of it every day. So that's what that piece is about. On to our next piece. Now, this next piece is an accompaniment to that piece that we just showed, the one with the hands. This one is called Sin, and we've actually done two versions of it. One is a whimsical one that looks like a birthday cake. Pardon me if you hear that beep. It's a watch going off. And the other one that we did is kind of a more ominous take on this subject. The center of this piece, the main focal point of it, is what's called a hand of glory. Now, if you don't know what a hand of glory is, it's an old medieval instrument that's mostly symbolic, but there are real ones. That is a candle made from the hand of a person who was executed. Now, it's supposed to be used for like thieves in the olden days and in craft work, where the person who wields it is able to paralyze anyone who sees it when it's lit. It's very similar to the concept of a mandrake. Now, this piece represents how, even though I've been hurt in my life, I know I've also let down and hurt others, whether that be big or small. The wrist of this piece is completely covered in beads, and it's to represent how all of that sin, that guilt, weighs down on me, because I regret ever hurting anybody, whether it be big or small. And anytime I've ever let someone down, or anytime I feel like I've let someone down, I regret it, and it just holds on me like a weight. It's the same reason why I have such a difficult time talking about my dad, because I know my dad hurt me a lot. He hurt my mom a lot. He hurt my sister a lot. But he also grew as a person, and hurt people. It's not an excuse. I understand it's not an excuse, but there is truth to it. And the best way for you to overcome that is to accept that you're not a perfect person. You're flawed. You make mistakes. You let people down. People get hurt in the process. And you got to learn to accept that and grow from it. Or otherwise, you're just going to repeat the same cycle over and over again. It's difficult sometimes. I mean, I have a really short fuse. The BPD doesn't make that any better. I process my emotions way stronger than a lot of people do because of that. And when I lose my top, I get loud. It's difficult. And this represents how I regret having that side of me, that sin, that weight holding me down. And it's always a thing that's off in the back of my head, back of my mind. Keeps me up at night sometimes. It's difficult for me. Usually if I've hurt someone, if I've let someone down, I usually stop talking to them because I just feel so guilty about it. And I figure the best way to apologize is just not show up in their life, give them space, give them peace. I'm working on that. I'm working on being better. Every day I work on being a better person because I want to be a better person. And that's the way anybody should be. Anybody should be wanting to be a better person rather than just continuing to be not. I grew up in a household of Baptists, Methodists, and Catholics. Trust me, honey, I know plenty of guilt. But just to say that this is a piece about knowing that you're not perfect, knowing that you're flawed, and how that weighs you down. So, on to our next piece. Well, if you're still here after that piece right there, thank you, first of all. Secondly, let's get on to our next piece. Our next piece is called intrusive thoughts. And it goes into more than just intrusive thoughts. It could also involve imposter syndrome. Now, this piece, you'll notice that there is a person standing there. Their eyes are very worn down. That they have a very sober look on their face, somber look on their face. Well, they have a mouth inverted on their forehead with a word bubble coming out that has a sickly, reddish, shark tooth, smiley mouth talking to them. And this piece represents, well, obviously, it represents intrusive thoughts. Those moments that you have in your head where you hear a thought that just pops in your head that just feels so random and out of place. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody just telling you that you're not you're not good enough, you're not perfect, you're never going to be loved. You should just do it. I'm not going to say what it is. That you'll never be a good person, no matter how hard you try. That's what this piece is about. It's those nagging, intrusive thoughts. The kind of imposter syndrome also involved in that too. That haunt you a bit as well. Again, these are kind of trigger warning, kind of. We deal with a lot of that in our artwork because we deal with a lot of that every day. I mean, I'm very insecure about a lot of things, and art is a way for me to express those insecurities to get them out of my head. And it's been very difficult throughout life because I do feel that way a lot of times. Like I'm not good enough. That I'll probably never find anybody that understands me or that will love me back the way that I love people. And yeah, that does weigh down on me a lot, especially nowadays with how frustrating it is trying to take care of my mom and going from job to job. It's kind of difficult. I mean, I haven't had a steady job in a while because I've had to be here all the time. I have my night job. And I'm grateful for it. But those intrusive thoughts are always in, and they always come in, especially at night, late at night. And I feel bad about that because I'm probably keeping my neighbors up, just talking to myself, trying to re-regulate myself because I get rather dysregulated at night, especially because of those intrusive thoughts. On to our next piece. Hopefully, these next two ones are not going to be as sad or triggery. So hopefully, let's get on to them. Now, both of these pieces are going to kind of correlate with the same message, but we're going to talk about them individually. The first piece that we're going to be talking about is called The Clown, or Embrace Absurdity, and that's exactly what it's about. The piece is a portrait of a happy clown. Pretty obvious. It's a clown. But the message behind the clown is the clown represents joy. It represents happiness, creativity, whimsy, absurdity. And life is a very difficult thing, especially nowadays with all the chaos going on around us. And it's a call to embrace the absurdity of life, to, instead of cowering in fear at opposition, to smile and let out a laugh and try to find something fun to do in life. It doesn't mean to ignore things. It just means that you need to look on the brighter side of things and embrace the silliness of it all. There's just a lot of stuff that you have no control over in your life. You know, I mean, we just talked about a lot of stuff that we have no real control over just a couple pieces ago. So it's about trying to find something fun, something silly to do in your life, to try to not be serious all the time, to embrace that absurdity and let out that inner clown. It's part of why we dress up as a clown whenever we do our costumes, because that's how we feel a lot, is like a clown. Like our life's kind of a punchline, so we might as well dress the part. On to the next piece. Now, our final painting that we're going to be talking about today is also, it involves embracing the absurdity of life. This one is inspired by a painting of one of my favorite artists, Francis Bacon. And the original piece is called Figure with Meat. It's a very popular piece that you may have noticed from the 1989 Batman movie. I wanted to do my own version of it, so I did. This one's called Figure with Sweet. And again, it's about embracing the joys in life, the absurdity in life, no matter how horrific the world is around you. It's again, not to ignore that horror is around you, because not I mean, that's not healthy either. You need to acknowledge that there's horrors going on around you, but to just be engulfed in those horrors, you can really defeat you as a person. It can really break your spirit, break your stride. And you need to find some kind of joy in life, some kind of sweet spot, a little silver lining to those dark clouds in order to be productive so that you can help yourself and you can help other people. This piece, you see this person smiling, holding a little sweet, while they're surrounded by this horrific chair of meat, this dark, dingy room. Okay, I felt a lot like that throughout my life because I spent a lot of my life in rooms, various rooms, and it's about finding some way of holding your own sanity, your own person, when everything else around you is just screaming horror and atrocities and intent on driving you insane. So it's about embracing that inner clown and that absurdity and finding little joys in life when everything is bad. So that's Wtfwit. And that's going to do it as far as the pieces go. Now, the next part of this, because this is going to be kind of a long video, sorry. It's kind of a message of who I am as an artist and what I think about art, and especially in today's society with everything going so crazy. So let's go ahead and get on into that. I want to go ahead and preface this by saying that even though we don't always talk about politics on this channel, as a queer artist, my artwork will always have some politics in it, whether it's like political or social political. It's just a part of my life is politics. We're all, whether you believe in it or not, or whether you want to confront politics or not, everyone's life is dictated in some way, shape, or form by the choices of people around them, especially in elected offices. And there's been a lot of terrible things that have happened in the last year, especially. I mean, over the last couple of years, but this last year especially. And it's a lot of people getting killed, a lot of families getting torn apart, men with masks holding kids at hostage, essentially, to lure out their parents as bait. While we have a president, well, that's what his title is, but I wouldn't call him that. It's just kind of like throwing out AI crap, calling these people terrorists for opposing these masked men, and a lot of surveillance going on. TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, social medias. There's a lot of really bad men with a lot of money that run things, and it's hard to see people just sit there and say, "Well, I don't really want to get political." Your neighbors are getting yanked. There's friends, nurses, mothers of three getting killed off in the goddamn streets, but you don't want to get political, and you just want to ignore it and just tune it all out and just live your best life, go to a movie, and ignore the atrocities around you. And that's not helping anything. If anything, that allows the atrocities to continue unabated. I'm not much for protesting. I have a mother I have to take care of, so I don't have a lot of ability to do that. But as an artist, I feel it's important to speak my mind, to express those opinions from time to time. So again, all art is political, whether you want to accept it or not, whether or not you want to paint something that is opposing an oppressive regime or propaganda supporting it, or whether you just want to paint a cool picture and ignore everything around you. Just act like it's not happening. Put your head in the ground like an ostrich. One of the things that cheeses me off the most, that pisses me the fuck off the most, is when I see celebrities and successful commercial artists that sit there and say, "I don't want to get political because I'm just an artist." To that, I would say, if that's how you feel as an artist, you're not an artist. You're a vendor. You're a grifter. You're somebody who made money and success off of playing pretend or being somewhat good at drawing something. And then you kick the ladder out from underneath you and hold other people back. You take up space that could be taken by people who actually have something to say. And you hold that down and you mock them for your own benefit and your own gain. You're not an artist. You're a grifter. Real art is about fighting back. Real art is about speaking a voice for the voiceless. From the Dada movement to the Surrealist movement, even postmodernism and resistance, through artwork, through clown brigades, through people dressing up as goofy little frogs. Fighting against oppression is art. Because if you just let the oppressors have that art, if you just let them be the ones that dictate what art is and isn't, then you're not left with anything except for just decor, propaganda, tools that they can use to keep people down. Seditious material that they'll put up in degenerate art exhibits or burn in pyres, forgotten to time, voices extinguished, while you sit there in your nice little fancy mansion, putting goofy little joints up on the wall or making fucking commercials about jeans and talking about how you ain't an artist. Because you're not. You're just not. You'll probably never see any of my art outside of these videos because, I mean, let's face it, I'm not one for galleries. And the reason I'm not one for galleries is because galleries to me are just essentially a place for wealthy elitists to hobnob and rub elbows, to take something home because they think it looks cool without actually caring about any of the meaning behind it, thinking that there's some kind of intrinsic value in hoarding it. My art is not for them. My art is for people who have been hurt, people who have been silenced, whether that's somebody who's black or brown, white, male, female, cisgender, transgender, non-binary, queer people, straight people who are an ally, people who are willing to have empathy for others, who are willing to look at that darkness in themselves and do that shadow work to be a better person every day. That's who my art is for. My art is for people who love big and hurt deeply, for people who are worried every day that it might be the last day they have a roof over their head, who care for people even though it hurts to care for people, who have no way of expressing all these big feelings and emotions, and the only way they can do it is to just put something down on a canvas, put something down in a poem, write a song, perform an act. My art is for people. It's not for the wealthy. It's not for hateful people. And in all honesty, if you are a person who doesn't have empathy for others, you're not welcome on my channel. I don't really pay attention to how many views my videos get. That's not because I don't care, because I do appreciate people that watch my videos, but I don't play to the audience. When I make something, I don't worry about whether or not it's going to be profitable or not, because money is not important to me when it comes to making art. Making art is important to me when it comes to making art. Having a message behind what I paint, the pieces I make, they're a part of my soul and the essence of who I am. A way for me to communicate in a way that words don't work, because I'm terrible with words. I didn't even write any of this down. It's just off the top of my dome, and I'm probably fucking it all up. But that's what my art is about. And that's how I view art. Art is a way of communicating when you have no other way of talking. Expressing something that's too hard and complicated to express with just words alone. And to see people that see all this pain, all this hurt, all these families torn apart, and go, "Oh, I just work in the arts. I don't really do politics." Get the fuck out. Retire. Let somebody who actually has a meaning and a message fill that place that you were holding up. That has an ounce of empathy for somebody else around them, for the neighbors around them, for the people in their own community, rather than their fancy little mansion. Speak up and take that space that you're just hoarding because it's profitable to you. Art isn't about profit. Art is about expression. And I think that it's important, especially nowadays, for everybody, artists included, especially artists, to say something, speak something, because a lot of shit's going on right now, and it's really frustrating to see people that should be doing something not doing a damn thing. Like, what the hell is going on? The world is falling apart. It's just, and it's being run by some of the worst fucking people ever. And there are people just celebrating it, loving it, laughing at it, enjoying the suffering that's being caused, because it's not happening to them yet. Because it always comes back to that one poem. And when it comes to you, there's not going to be anybody around to care. So start caring now. Start caring about the people around you, about your neighbors, about your neighborhood. Instead of trying to busybody yourself and hold other people back and hold other people down. Do something to help people. Do something, speak up when you see something wrong, rather than just tuck your tail and put your head in the sand and go, well, my life is good, so I don't need to worry about that. The only reason your life is good is because of privilege. You're privileged to enjoy that life while other people are suffering. You're privileged to make money off of being an artist while other people are struggling to get by day. As jobs dry up, as AI takes over everything, and as some crazy psychopathic megalomaniac just basically runs ramshot over the entire country and world, and you're just going to sit by and just watch it, applaud, clap like it's a fucking daytime TV show because it ain't affecting you yet. Well, honey, it's going to come and affect you too. Those boots come for everyone. It's time to stop that. It's time to say something, speak up, care for people more, have a little more empathy, understand that things are not okay right now. And I think it's important for art and artists to use their platform and their tools to do something, to say something, to speak where other people can't, and not take up space when somebody else is talking, and not sit there and see people getting their rights stripped away, their families taken away, and laugh at them. So that's what my art is about, and that's my opinion of things going on today. And it may be a hot take to some people, and if it offended you, then you're probably the audience that needed to be offended, because you're the audience that laughs at people being hurt, people suffering. And a lot of y'all probably voted for this, and you're probably glad you did. If you are, this ain't the channel for you. This is the channel for queer people. This is the channel for real artists. Whether I make a penny off of anything I sell, irrelevant. Because that's not the point of my art. That's not what art should be. It's not for rich hobnobs. It's for everybody. And we're going to leave it at that because I'm getting a little heated. And I'm pretty sure I'm all over the place. So let's go ahead and finish it off. If you're new to this channel, I do have an Etsy shop. I know that Etsy doesn't have the greatest of reputations right now, and I'm trying to work on finding somewhere better to place my art. Not everything you see in this video or in our other videos is always on there. So I'm going to go ahead and put the link up there for the Etsy shop. You can type that in if you want. If you want to see about purchasing some of our work, by all means. We also have social medias. Right now we got Blue Sky and Instagram. We try to upscroll, but there's just not enough content moderation on there, and there's a lot of stuff that I just don't feel comfortable being connected to that site right now. If you want to help us out, because we absolutely could use every penny we can get, Venmo link right there. This has been Candy Dandy. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a good one. This was kind of a tough episode to do, so if there's people still watching this afterwards, I appreciate every one of you. I really do. And have a good night, and go out and love. Go out and live. Go out and care. Good night.